You're still watching Plus Politics on Plus TV Africa. Now, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has identified prayer, praise and faith in God as the three instruments to make Nigeria great again. So, being the very religious people we are, do we just leave everything to God and forget about the processes? Well, I still have Sam Adeleke in the studio. Unfortunately, he's not a preacher, he's a political analyst. But this is former President Olusegun Obasanjo at a religious event. And we know former President Obasanjo for writing letters, and those letters are very
nation-shaking letters.
Detailed and the details are very, So I'm just wondering, could there have been a reason for his change of tactics or change of instruments that would change or move Nigeria forward all of a sudden? Do you think that there could have been something that happened?
Interestingly,
on the road to Damascus, maybe.
This was not just an isolated incident. He was invited for a church program,
event, yes.
And then he decided to talk as a former leader of the nation. And of course, please remember that President Olusegun Obasanjo has a PhD in divinity from the National Open University of Nigeria.
I see.
In fact, at some point, they called him Evangelist Olusegun Obasanjo. So he is good at also, selling that hope toga and that hopeful, Maryann to Nigerians. Now, the press is very, very clever with this. They like to, set the agenda, which is the work of the media, in conversations that put this former president in public light. But unfortunately, this time around, this is not correct because we are once again masking our problems. If only.
Sorry, I don't understand. Why do you say mask?
Because he's saying that Nigeria needs three things: praise, prayer, and hope, or something. No, the most advanced nations in the world. And faith in God. The most advanced nations in the world do not put these on the national banner as the steps to national recovery and advancement. It is wrong for such leaders to put all of this at the expense of competence.
But we are, on a serious note, we are a religious country, and we always, for everything we do, we say, we've even had the presidency say, let's hope and pray to God for certain things. So why is former President Olusegun Obasanjo supposed to be different on that? If we are religious people and we believe God for everything, why should we not take this with a pinch of salt? Why?
The jury is out there on the role of President Olusegun Obasanjo in national building and also his track record in leading Nigeria. And someone of his age and exposure with insights should be more circumspect when throwing words into the national atmosphere, so to speak. Because, when such men sneeze, the nation catches cold. When such words are being let out into the public, everyone takes it and runs with it, unintentionally or psychologically. So it shows that when we keep portraying and purveying this hope, this prayer, this faith, without hammering, we should not get tired of hammering the issue of competence, of merit, of transparency, of accountability.
I'm sorry to take you back. Are you trying to say that the average Nigerian takes everything that an elder statesman, such as the likes of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, hook, line, and sinker? Because you're saying a lot of people will run with this. Do you not feel that the average Nigerian sees through the facades of today's administration?
Do we? That's the question.
Well,
if we do, then we will do something about it. But I think that we are just docile as a people and as a nation. We feel helpless, but we are not. And it's statements like these that help us to have a feeling that, I don't want to die. I'll be fine. God will take care of Nigeria. But some will tell you that it is because of God's mercies that Nigeria is still standing to date. That God loves Nigeria. Shut up. No, we are going backwards.
But that's what he said, that yes, God has been so merciful to Nigeria and Nigerians, and only...
I am of the
that all we do in return is we exhort God. That He deserves exhortation from us. I'd like to quote him: "I believe in sovereignty of God and helplessness or lack of capacity of man to gratify the enormity of His grace and mercy for us. But everything that God brings to us, 90% of it, we're not even aware of. But the only thing we can give back to Him is praise, and that is all He demands from us and desires from us." He says that praise, prayer, and faith are to be acceptable to God, so we must not be slothful about it. But could he also maybe have been quoted out of context, being that he was at a religious event and he did not necessarily say that this was going to solve Nigeria's problems?
As a matter of fact, I think we should also add that it was represented at the event by Dr. Doyin Okukpe, his assistant. So he did actually say that, but of course, those were his words as representative of the former president. And to be honest, to be fair, because let's separate the issues. This was a praise event, a worship event. So the words were appropriate for that event. Because I'm a believer, I believe in worship of God. And I also believe that you should be able to declare your faith publicly without fear of anyone. However, you are a public figure. Any opportunity you have to speak to the public, you should always juxtapose it.
You just took my question and answered it. Go ahead.
Exactly. So you should always juxtapose every opportunity you have to talk about faith, about God, about worship, and to also remind people that the same God that asks for worship also asks for justice. He asks that the poor should be taken care of, that there should be justice and there should be equity. In a country where there is inequality, the gap is widening. You are banning items up and down, and you are saying that we are approaching self-sufficiency. When in actual fact, we're about to repeat 1984. When you are not marrying the facts on ground with what your experts tell you, then then that's not true religion. We should be able to take care of people and empathize and look at the sufferings and not just criticize the international media when they bring out stories that talk about injustice in the land. So I think true worship is you being able to take care of the oppressed, deliver justice to victims of oppression, and ensure that at least in the capacity as a government and as somebody who can also hold government accountable, these values should be propelled just as values of worship.
Let's talk about religion briefly here, because this is the base for this conversation.
Yes.
Could it also be that this false hope that you're accusing politicians in Nigeria of selling to the people, the church is also complicit?
The church is doing its job.
The church, the mosque, because, all of our clerics, could it be that they're all complicit in selling this false hope instead of painting a clearer picture and also educating the people as to how to go about getting justice in society?
It's a mixed bag. We should not blame the church for our state as a country, because we didn't elect the church. We elect the government officials, and the church. And
these government officials belong to
the church and the mosque.
Okay.
So it's important that that we do not. Why we do not separate the church from the states and religion from the states? We should also understand the fact that the role of the religious organizations in keeping Nigeria sane and keeping Nigeria from anarchy cannot be underestimated. Do you know what the church and the mosque and other religious bodies do in terms of public orientation, in terms of corporate social responsibilities?
Well, maybe they're not doing enough. Do you think they're doing enough?
In terms of visiting, giving money to the orphanage, educating people at no costs, So
do you think that they're doing enough?
No, they are not. Because looking at civil rights movements in the United States, because it's important that we compare and contrast. And I do keep saying that we need to replicate success. Look at the role of people like Bishop Tutu in South Africa, people like Martin Luther King, people who are clerics, full-time clerics, and who are taking the words of the Bible and applying to societal needs. So I believe that the church in Nigeria can do more, but then we should not blame the church for the state we are in today. Because we as the people, we are the church, we are the mosque, we are the people, we are the country. So to be fair, the church has a role to play. However, believers, unbelievers, Nigerians, we are one people, great nation. We should take the bull by the horn and hold our leaders accountable.
And I'm going to ask that
Very
question
important.
one more time. How?
How? Maryann, how? It is simple. Civic and public engagement. We must start having consistent forums, summits, protests, peaceful protests. There should be marches, there should be gatherings, there should be forums, there should be discussions publicly, outside the country.
And what if the leadership perceives that these marches, these forums, might be to depose government or turn the people against the government? How then do you explain yourself? We
are the government. The people need to know that they put these people in power. And we should start preparing to sack them in the next 4 years. Now, whatever happened with the election for this year is our responsibility. So we should take the blame that we put these people in power. So if we think that they're not listening to us, then we should start gathering momentum, start preparing to evict them through the ballot box come 2023. Very important.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Sam Adeleke is a political analyst. It's been a very interesting conversation on Plus Politics. We will take a break and bring you some of our Plus packages. And when we come back, I'll be giving you my take.
Human rights activists have condemned the continued detention of the African Alliance Congress Party's presidential candidate, Omoyele Sowore, and 3 others and have demanded their release. They converged on the Unity Fountain in Abuja despite a heavy presence of police personnel, insisting that they will not be deterred in their call on the government to release the trio unconditionally. Omoyele Sowore is currently being detained by the Department of State Services, DSS, over allegations that he tried to topple the government after calling for a Revolution Now protest nationwide. Daddy Yatta Abubakar, a strong critic of the Kano and Kaduna state governors, who is also a lecturer and an opposition critic, Jones Abiri and Stephen Kefas, who are also both journalists, were mentioned to be detained or held for various different reasons.
We just had to come out here to tell the government of the day that you may have to also probably open up more prison yards for all of us, because we're ready to join Sowore. I'm Sowore right now, because sincerely, we will not keep quiet to watch our nation. Every day, citizens of Nigeria are raped by herdsmen. Citizens of this country are massacred, and the president, rather than fight that area, would rather use force against civil protests.
Stephen Kefas has been arrested. Sowore has been abducted. John Sabiri has been abducted. And so many others that we don't even have their name. But you can see that despite these state-sponsored abductions, some of us are still here today. Yes. This is to show you the resilience of those that they call Nigerians. Yes. This is to show you the spirit of those that are true Nigerians. Yes. This is to tell you that no matter how much you try to confine the body of a man with strong convictions, his convictions will overcome. Our battle is not a battle for ourselves. No. This is a battle for the soul of this nation. Yes. This is a battle for the survival of every Nigerian people. Yes. This is a battle for posterity. Yes. This is a battle for liberation. Yes. And so we must make it very clear to our oppressors that it would never matter whether they mobilize the prison service or the army or the navy or whoever. In fact, if they like, let them go to other dictatorial countries in the world and borrow their soldiers. Yes. In fact, if they want, let them go and resurrect Hitler from his grave. Yes. We, the people of Nigeria, will never back down. Yes.
The modus operandi of criminal abductions and government abductions is the same. When someone is taken, we do not know who has taken. The police people who are gathered here today, we were at their place to protest for 3 of their colleagues. Nigeria has gotten to that level. Nowhere in this country is safe. In any given day, on any given day, at least 10 Nigerian states, record casualty from one attack or the other. Is this not a country at war? Why are we treating this with laxity? Why are we treating this with laxity? Nigerians, this campaign of fear unleashed on us by the government must not succeed. Yes. Freedom for Daddy Yatta. We do not even know where Daddy Yatta is. His family spent Salah without him. Freedom for Stephen Kefas. Stephen Kefas has spent over 90 days in prison. He was abducted Court. They have been using the apparatus of state to keep him without bail. Freedom for Yele Sowore. Freedom for Abiri Jones, who won a case against the government. The government has not paid him, they have carried him again. Freedom for those who are at the state level but do not have national.
Well, it's time for my take, and it's going to be a really short one. Here is why. Every single day I sit in front of this camera when we have conversations, it seems like we're all saying the same thing again and again and again. Over and over and over, we're asking for a simple thing: good governance. And while you may think that you're offering us good governance, Mr. President, our governors, our legislators, we are the ones who are the umpires here. We're the ones who decide if what you're giving to us is good enough, because we're on the receiving end. So if we think that you're not giving us good governance, we're saying do something to change what you're doing. Criticism is allowed here because it's a democracy. It's not an authoritarian government. So we have a right, and that's what we're asking again today. Don't just give us good governance. Fight for our rights. Value our lives as human beings. We're getting killed every day. Nobody's doing anything. You just pay lip service to it. So once again, give us good governance, and we will not stop. We can't stop. We will continue asking it and sounding like broken records until you give us good governance. It's been Plus Politics, and I am Maryann.